Hello everyone, welcome to Sorcerer's classes. This is Tushar Shaw, and in this video we will be continuing to solve the UPSC CS Main 2020 paper that we were solving since the last 10 videos, I guess. Okay. So obviously this is a subjective type paper. So as I have told you already in the last videos that in this paper you won't be having any negative mark, and you have to write each and every step properly while writing this exam, because it is a subjective type paper. You have been given 10 marks to write one question. Okay, so you have to write each of the steps like perfectly, and after that only you will be getting the full marks. Any step wrong in between might result in the deduction of some marks. Okay, so as I'm writing as I'm writing in this video, you must the things that I'm speaking out, you must take notes of that, and the thing that I'm writing, you must take notes of like those things must be there in your copy on the answer sheet, so as to get full marks. Okay, so this is the case. Let us now dig into the video. We did up till question number 5C in the last video. So here we'll be moving on to question number 5D. Okay, so question number 5D says, what would be the sign that is negative, positive, or zero for delta H, delta S, and delta G for the process of spontaneous absorption on a gas on solid surface at a constant temperature? Give reasons. Okay. So first of all, the three parameters that we need to consider is delta H, delta S, and delta G. The process here being talked about is adsorption. Okay. So, in case of adsorption, let me write down the formula for each of them. So, delta H would be equal to minus RT ln Ki. Okay, where here I'm sorry, K1, where K1 is the rate of adsorption of the molecule in the adsorbent. Okay, so so K here is the rate of absorption. Okay. The great obviously rate is dependent on temperature. So more will be the temperature, more will be the rate. As the temperature increases, K1 also increases. That is temperature and K and rate are directly proportional. Temperature is directly proportional to K. Okay. So now, obviously, you can see the temperature, whatever the K value be. If we take a decent temperature, then this K value would be like greater than 2.73. That is the E value, and therefore this ln would be giving us a positive value, and therefore overall this delta H would be giving us a negative value. Okay, and this temperature must be optimum enough, because very high temperatures would cause a decrease in the amount of gases absorbed in the adsorbent. Why? Because the molecules acquire much more kinetic energy, and therefore would be less would be having a less tendency to stick to the adsorbent molecules. Okay, so in that optimum temperature, delta H is always negative. Okay, so delta H sign is negative. Now what about delta S? So delta S is also negative, like it decreases from being positive to 0, and in some cases negative as well. Okay, that might depend on the situation that is given to you. Basically it like varies from 0 to negative. Why? Because obviously you can see that delta S is related to chaos and disorderness. Okay, and disorderness. Now, let us take let us say if a molecule has in the 3D space, it is totally disoriented and disordered. It can move anywhere with the all of the degrees of freedom being attached to it. Okay, so what happens is when the molecule gets adsorbed into the adsorbate, the degrees of freedom decreases because it is getting stick to one surface. Okay, as it is being stick, it cannot move in many other directions, so most of the degrees of freedom is cut out. Okay, and therefore for this change, when the degree of freedom is more, the delta S change is like positive. Like if if the molecule leaves the absorbent and goes into forms a gas, then delta S would be highly positive. Why? Because obviously the restricted movement is now allowed to go into chaos. Okay, So this is the case. Now for the opposite thing, we might be getting a value for delta S to be equal to 0 and probably negative. Okay, that would the value of 0 and negative would be depending on various situations like the nature of the molecule and so those stuffs. Okay, the last thing that we need to discuss, that is delta G. Now delta G, from the for delta G we have to write two explanations. Okay, the first explanation being from the normal thermodynamic point of view, from the second law of thermodynamics, we have derived that delta G is equal to delta H minus T delta S. Okay, so delta H we calculated to be negative, delta T we consider to be at an optimum temperature, so that is one case. And lastly, delta S is either 0 or negative. Okay, if this becomes 0, this whole term becomes 0, so delta H would be negative anyways. Okay, so as delta H is negative, so delta G would be also be negative, and if this becomes negative, this part becomes positive. Okay, but not for like normally it is not positive enough to compensate overcompensate the minus effect of delta H. Okay, so in whatever be the case, delta G would be always negative for a adsorbent like for absorption reactions. Okay, this was first explanation, and the second explanation is via the Gibbs absorption isotherm. Gibbs absorption isotherm. So let me just write down the equation for you. Uh, Gibbs absorption isotherm, that is capital gamma is equal to 1 minus 1 by RT d gamma by d ln A. Okay, here ln A, or you may write ln P or ln C. Okay, whatever, ln C, I am writing concentration term. Anyways, so this is the, obviously this is the we have written explained expressed this this absorption isotherm in terms of gamma, capital gamma, but this is nothing but the Gibbs free energy for the system. Okay, energy for the system, it is just expressed in in another variable. Okay, so in this case also you may see that a negative sign is there in the equation, and obviously for a substance getting attached, that is a surfactant. Okay, for a surfactant, this gamma, capital gamma value is always negative. So what does a surfactant does? It attaches in a surfactant, the absorption occurs quite extensively. Okay, that is the case for in this case. So these are the four explanations that you need to write in your paper. And obviously the things that I have already mentioned, you must just rewind the video, pause the video, whatever you like, and just note down the point that I have been explaining. Okay. So moving on to the next question. Now this question is kind of an extremely big one, because I need to draw a big diagram, that is the Jablonski diagram that has been given in the question, and obviously the mark that is given is 10. So that is quite an injustice for for this question, because the last question was kind of such a small question and easy, but still it contained a good number of marks, and this question being so big still has 10 marks. Okay, so without considering those, let us quickly solve the question, and then we will be finishing the video. Okay, so this question number is 5E. So question number 5E says that discuss all the possibly decay routes of electronically excited molecules with the help of a neat Jablonski diagram. So we have to explain the decay routes, just the decay routes, no excitement routes, and secondly from the help of a neat Jablonski diagram. So we have to draw a neat Jablonski diagram over here first. Okay. Now, first of all, you need to know that I am using my pen tablet over here, so the drawing would not be like up to the mark. You may look into Google or consult any books for that. I am just drawing an approximate diagram, so that you may understand. Okay, so let me just draw the ground states for you. Hmm, okay, and then Okay, so these two things are singlet excited states, singlet excited states. This one is a triplet excited state, excited state. Okay, so now let me just draw firstly this is the energy axis. Just forgot to write that. Just excuse me for my drawing. It is quite difficult to draw a laptop with a pen tablet like this. If you do it yourself, you may just understand. Okay. So let me just draw firstly the absorption values, absorption diagrams. Okay. So first of all, the absorption that are occurring is um, this is one, this is two. This is out to be a straight line. You just use a scale or whatever ruler. Okay. So in the to draw in your copy, I don't have a scale over here because then that is why the drawing is not up to the mark. Okay. The last transition would be this one. So this one is an S2 state. Okay, and let me just draw another thing, the other lines also. So, so this is one line. Um, this one is one line. This is one line. Uh, this is one. This is one, and this one is the one case. Okay, so these two are. I'm just writing it horizontally. Um, okay, absorption. Now, this one was the S2 state. This one is the S1 state. Here the decay occurs, that is internal conversion. Internal conversion. Okay. Here some energy changes are there. Okay. Um, then here also some energy changes are there. This is the vibrational relaxation. Okay. Vibrational relaxation. Relaxation. Okay. From here we'll be getting another type of radiative decay. So let me just draw that for you. This would be one. This would be one. This would be one. This would be one. So these lines are, let me write it over here only, fluorescence. Okay, these lines are fluorescence. Now here one radiative decay is there. This one is known as inter-system crossing. Inter-system crossing. Okay. So this state is a triplet excited state. We name it as T1. Okay. Here also some transitions would be taking place. So let me just draw that for you. Where's the pointer? Yeah. Okay, so this is the case. This process is known as phosphorescence. Okay, okay, phosphorescence. And here in this state, in the ground state, or now this state is known as the ground state. Okay, ground state, ground state. We name it as G1. Okay, so I'm sorry, not G1, S0 we may say. Okay, S0, and in the ground state also there is some vibrational relaxation. Okay, vibrational relaxation. So this is the overall of Jablonski diagram. Now one thing you must do is use your ruler to draw the lines perfectly, and then it may look good. This drawing of mine is not looking so decent because obviously I am drawing it with this pen. Okay, pen tablet. So that is like quite difficult to draw. Okay, so this was the Jablonski diagram. You have to draw it neat. Okay, and the next thing that we need to do is mention the radiative or electronically decay routes of the electronically excited molecules. Okay, so the first decay route is the vibration, that one, the vibrational relaxation. Okay, vibrational relaxation. Okay, next one is the internal conversion. Okay, internal conversion, which occurs between the singlet state, different singlet states only, different singlet states. Next is inter-system crossing, inter-system crossing between singlet and triplet state, singlet and triplet state. The next two are extremely important. Fluorescence. This fluorescence is used for this is occurring from the singlet to ground state, singlet to ground state, and phosphorescence, phosphorescence. This is from triplet to ground state. Thus, the fluorescence and phosphorescence data where the radiation values are extremely important because they are used these two processes are used analytically to determine various number of these things. Okay, analytical approach, analytical utility you may say. So these two are these two help in yeah, finding out the data for various number of things that we need to do. Like for example, what kind of molecule it is, the nature of the molecule, structure of the molecule, X-ray determination, and what not. Okay. So this was all about this video. In the next video, we will be continuing from question number 6A. This was up till 5E, so we will be continuing from 6A. Okay. So thank you guys for this video. I'll see you guys in the next one.